From a construction worker just trying to survive to a world champion who just won't stop winning, Merab Dvalishvili's rise has been nothing short of unreal. At UFC 320, he didn't just beat Corey Sandhagen, he dominated him, capping off one of the greatest years we've ever seen from a bantamweight. 3 title defenses in a single year, 14 straight wins, and a pace no one in the division can match. We've seen dominant bantamweight champs before, but none of them did some of the things Merab has done. So the question has to be asked, is Merab Dvalishvili already the greatest bantamweight in UFC history, or is there still more left for him to prove?
Yes, Joe, I am a machine. Yes, that's right, I'm keep getting better.
Before he was a world champion, Merab Dvalishvili was just another fighter chasing a dream. Born in Georgia, raised in that warrior culture, he started fighting young. And in 2012, he packed his bags and moved to the US, hoping to make something of himself. No English, no gym, no money, just raw ambition. He bounced between boxing and kickboxing until he found the Serra Longo team in New York, the same gym that built champions. But the journey didn't start smoothly. He lost his first pro fight, won the next, then lost again. At one point, he even stepped away from the sport, trying to live a normal life while working construction. But deep down, he knew he wasn't done. So he came back, hungrier than ever, grinding through 6 straight wins, including a brutal spinning back fist knockout against Dennis Dombrow, which earned him a UFC contract. Still, his UFC run didn't take off right away. 2 losses out of the gate, and it looked like the same story all over again. Then something clicked. Over the next 7 years, Merab went on a 10-fight tear, beating names like José Aldo, Petr Yan, and Henry Cejudo, all while building a gas tank that never seemed to run out. And finally, at UFC 306, he finished the story, dominating Sean O'Malley to become the UFC Bantamweight champion. After becoming champion, Merab didn't slow down. First, he faced the undefeated contender Umar Nurmagomedov at UFC 311, winning by unanimous decision. And then came the highly anticipated rematch with Sean O'Malley at UFC 316, where Merab submitted O'Malley with a north-south choke. Fast forward to UFC 320, and Merab etched his name into the UFC history books once again with a dominant unanimous decision win over Corey Sandhagen, his 3rd straight title defense, securing his place among the sport's elite and climbing to 3rd on the pound-for-pound list, just behind Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev. And what makes this even more impressive is that the bantamweight division has never been easy to dominate. While other divisions have seen long reigns from legends like Anderson Silva, Kamaru Usman, and George St. Pierre, the bantamweight division has always been volatile. Champions rise and fall, and the belt changes hands constantly. But Merab is changing that narrative. He's now on a 14-fight UFC winning streak, the 4th longest in company history, and a 13-fight streak at bantamweight, the longest ever in the division. And with 12 wins at 135 pounds, he's tied with TJ Dillashaw and Marlon Vera for 2nd most in divisional history, just one behind Aljamain Sterling. And the fight against Sandhagen wasn't just another win, it was a statistical masterpiece. Merab landed 18 takedowns that night, becoming the first fighter in UFC history to record 10 or more takedowns in 5 different fights. That performance also pushed his career total past 100 takedowns, making him the only fighter ever to hit triple digits. And speaking of the bantamweight division, it's always been one of the UFC's most competitive, but never its most dominant. We've seen flashes of greatness, but no one's ever held the throne long enough to truly define the weight class. That is, until Merab came along. Since capturing the belt at UFC 316, Merab hasn't just defended it, he's elevated it. He first took out the then undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov at UFC 311. Then in the rematch at 316, he submitted Sean O'Malley to silence any doubt. And most recently, he dominated Sandhagen, tying Aljamain Sterling for the most consecutive title defenses in bantamweight history. But the real story is in the resume. Merab has beaten some of the best fighters to ever step into the Octagon. Sean O'Malley twice, Petr Yan, José Aldo, Henry Cejudo, and now Corey Sandhagen. Add in wins over former champions from other organizations like John Dodson, Marlon Moraes, Rafion Stotts, and Brad Katona, and Merab now holds 9 victories over 8 different world champions across MMA. And his streak It's insane. 13 straight wins at Bantamweight, the longest run the division has ever had, and 14 straight in the UFC overall, trailing only Anderson Silva, Kamaru Usman and Islam Makhachev on the all-time list. So when people call Merab Dvalishvili the Bantamweight GOAT, it's not just hype. It's because the machine has built a resume that may be impossible to top. A blend of achievements, records and dominance that's redefining what greatness looks like at 135 pounds. But as dominant as Merab's been, calling him the Bantamweight GOAT might still be a stretch, at least for now. Because while his record is undeniable, his style isn't exactly built on the kind of moments that define legacies. Merab's grappling-heavy approach smothers opponents, but it rarely excites fans or delivers the highlight reel finishes that other greats were known for. He's not a knockout artist, and while control and pace win fights, they don't always create the kind of aura that makes a champion unforgettable. And while dominance is one thing, diversity in how you achieve it is another. Most of his fights follow a predictable pattern: pressure, takedowns, and endless volume. So while Merab's run has been one of the most dominant in bantamweight history, the question isn't whether he's great, it's whether he's done enough yet to separate himself from the legends who built the division before him. That said, even with those doubts, many notable names have already crowned him the GOAT. His teammate and former champion Aljamain Sterling, who sits in the same all-time conversation as Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw, said before Merab's fight with Sandhagen, "Regardless if Merab wins this fight or not, I think he's the greatest bantamweight of all time." Even his rival Sean O'Malley gave him props after their UFC 316 rematch, saying, "But just being on bottom, and I've trained with the best, it's so weird. He just felt so effing compact and strong in there. I feel like it was too much. He's the greatest of all time, greatest bantamweight of all time." And when asked if Merab had done enough to be considered the best ever, even UFC CEO Dana White didn't hesitate. Absolutely. All in all, Merab has truly come into his own, not just as a champion, but as a personality in the spotlight. From goofy skits on social media to his antics during fight week, he's embracing every bit of the attention that his dominance has earned. He's a natural entertainer, whether he's taking down a 600-pound gorilla in the gym, diving headfirst into a frozen lake, wearing a pillow shaped like O'Malley's face in a baby carrier, or standing way too close to the edge of every cliff and balcony he finds. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to what he does inside the octagon, and it seems like Merab can overwhelm the best on their best nights. And the scary part? He's just getting started. With his third title defense of 2025 complete, Merab has already set his sights on an unprecedented fourth defense before the year's end. And the truth is, if he does return in December and wins, Merab would undeniably cement his GOAT status in the division. Let me know in the comments, is the machine already the GOAT, or does he still have a few gears left to shift? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fighter breakdowns and GOAT debates just like this.